Okay, hi everyone. Very good morning and welcome to our podcast, Double Degree Double Benefits, featuring Minnesota State University. As you may know, Universitas Pertamina has just established a dual degree program with Minnesota State University, located in the city of Mankato, Minnesota, United States. This program is our second dual degree program after we launched the first one last year with University Technology Petronas in Malaysia. To further discuss our newest dual degree, we are delighted to have a special guest coming up north live from Mankato. Please welcome Professor Brian Martensen, Interim Provost and Senior Vice President of Academic Affairs at Minnesota State University. Good morning, Professor.
Good morning, or good evening here, I suppose. Thank you for
Good
having
afternoon,
us.
actually. I'm sorry. I believe it is now 8 p.m., right? On Friday in Mankato.
That's correct.
Okay, Jakarta is actually 13 hours ahead of Mankato, so it's now Saturday morning at 9:06 a.m. So how are you doing this afternoon, Professor?
Oh, doing quite well. And again, thank you for hosting us. We're thrilled to talk with the audience here.
Thank you very much. Thank you for being with us today. Shall we begin, Professor?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Let's start our podcast with this basic question. Where exactly is the university, Professor?
So we are located in Mankato, Minnesota. Minnesota is a northern state in the United States. And we are fairly near the major metropolitan area of Minneapolis and St. Paul. Those are our two cities known as the Twin Cities in the United States. And so we are about an hour and a half, maybe a little less than that, by driving south in a town called Mankato, which itself is I would say a medium-sized city.
Okay, thank you, Professor. Indonesian people know cities like Los Angeles, Chicago, Boston, and New York. How far is Mankato from those big cities, Professor?
Sure. The closest of those would be Chicago. We, as I said, we're very close to Minneapolis and St. Paul, which is a fairly large metropolitan area. So if our students often would drive into those cities if they wanted to see, say, cultural events. There's a lot of museums, art museums, science museums. We're the northern part of the United States, so there's ice hockey, so there's professional sports teams, what we call football, but we actually even have a professional team in what you call football, I suppose, now. And in addition to that, that's a major airport for the United States because it's in the middle of the country, and one of the airlines is based out of there. So we can really easily get flights to Chicago, New York, places like that very, very easily. But we're in the middle of the country, so we'd be quite far from a New York or a Los Angeles, but we do have easy access that way, whereas Chicago would be closer. But Minneapolis and St. Paul are really wonderful locations too if somebody's missing a big city. We always like to think that we're close enough to do the fun stuff, but we're far enough away to have a little peace and quiet.
Understand. Very nice. And how do you describe the city of Mankato, Professor?
So we're in the southern part of the state, and so we are in an agricultural area, but we're kind of the regional hub. So the rest of the region would look to us for their shopping, for so we have a very vibrant community, partially because there's a university there. Again, a lot of arts, a very diverse community, and quite welcoming. Geographically, Mankato's quite beautiful. You might have heard that Minnesota is known for its lakes, the land of 10,000 lakes, they say. Yep. So a lot of the people around here spend a lot of time on lakes, doing various, boating, fishing, those kinds of activities. We have a lot of trails and a major river that goes through Mankato, which makes us kind of have a hilly terrain. We have a lot of hills. A lot of people like to get on bicycles and do things like that. So it's a pretty area.
So I heard Mankato is not far from Minneapolis? Is it only 1.5 hour drive?
It's about, yeah, about 1.5. So maybe even a little less.
Okay, so that's a very close then. So how is life at your campus, Professor?
Yeah, we have a very vibrant campus community. We have about 14,000 students total. And you know, we try and strive to have a lot of what the students need very nearby. So there's downtown Mankato, and then the campus is up kind of above on a hilltop. And so a lot of the campus life has things like we have a very large recreation center where students can do various kinds of sport. We have intramural activities where students can join teams and play various sports and so forth. There's a lot of food options nearby. We do a lot of student clubs and activities. Everything around. There's chess clubs. There's clubs associated to, in particular, with international students, different home countries or regions. So they can get together and perhaps cook meals from home. But we have a lot of students who live in the dorms. So there's a lot of active life on the campus at any given moment.
I believe you have many international students at your university. Approximately how many international students, Professor, at your in your university?
Yeah, as I said, we have about 14,000 students total, and so about 10%, a little over 1,300 of those are international students. They represent a wide variety of countries. We have somewhere around 96 countries represented, and really from every continent, from every region. I mentioned the vibrant campus life. When I walk through campus, I often see international students playing, things like badminton and sports that aren't always as popular in the U.S. But I think that we like to encourage that we have access to things like that. We also have a lot of international nights where we'll have a host country share something about their culture. Maybe it's food and dancing, and so it creates a nice shared global community where we exchange those kinds of ideas and just fun.
Yeah, that's great to hear, because I think international students give us more experience, not just the culture in the United States, but also the culture of various countries, I believe.
That's right.
And then what are the typical monthly living expenses for international students at your university, Professor?
I would think for actual living expenses in terms of rent and food and other miscellaneous, you're probably looking at around $1,000, $1,000 US a month.
Okay.
Could vary depending on where you want to live, but that could either be on campus housing in our dorms, or that could be, there's a lot of nearby apartments if people want to live on their own. And there's the ability to either own a vehicle, or there's some public busing systems that can get around town, as well as can get to the major Twin Cities area.
So that's including the foods and everything, I believe, right, Professor?
That's correct. That would include, not the cost of the attendance of college, but the actual living expenses. Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So that means tuition fee is in addition to 1,000. That's
correct. Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. Do you provide scholarships for international students?
We do. We have a scholarship that international students receive that is called the International Maverick Scholarship. Our mascot is called a Maverick, so you hear that word a lot on campus. But the scholarship itself is worth over $6,000, and students receive that. International students receive that every year. As long as they stay in good academic standing, as long as their grades are good, they'll maintain that scholarship.
So that's every year you award every year. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So every year, international students must extend or reapply the scholarship.
It's more or less automatic.
Okay.
We let you in, and then all I mean by good academic standing is that you are staying, that you are your grades are good enough to continue as a student. You will continue to get that scholarship.
Okay. Great, thank you. And then there are questions about internship opportunities for international students. Do you provide those opportunities, Professor?
We have a lot of regional companies here that we work with. And so typically in the United States, we don't manage the internships themselves, but what we do is we work with companies to they come on our campus and they set up booths and talk to each student. Usually those internships are happening in the summers, but they can also happen during the academic year if students choose. And so we work with a lot of area employers on both getting internships and then and working with employers, especially to understand in the case of international students, how the rules for visas and such work. And so that's always been a fairly easy process for us. And of course, in a lot of the fields that these students are studying, they are very much at hand. So you may know or not, the Minnesota is a hub for medical industry. So Mayo
Clinic, right?
is in the area. And so we are well known for, not just placing things like nurses and such, but also the medical device technologies that go with that, manufacturing medical devices. And as I said, we're also an agricultural area. And there's a lot of electronics employers in the region as well. Manufacturing smart factories. And so, and actually a fairly large finance and insurance industry near the Twin Cities. So there's a lot of ability to intern with those companies during your studies.
So usually for how long the internship? Is it a year, one semester, or more than a year?
Our students typically do them in the summer. So they typically would start in May and go through August.
Okay.
But as I said, some will continue to work with that employer during the academic year and balance that with their studies up to maybe 20 hours a week. But other students, stay that just in the summer.
When I went to school there is also internship opportunities after you graduate. Is that so right now in Minnesota State?
That's correct. There's I believe the phrase is OPT, that where you can continue to after graduation be placed to continue to work, and that's for additional training effectively. So yes, you've graduated, but you can continue working for additional training, and it's 12 months. You can do that for 12 months of full time.
12 months, okay.
Yeah.
So that means opportunity can be when they are students, like during summer or maybe any other month, and after they graduate. So typically two kinds of internship opportunities.
That's correct. During their studies, it's called a CPT, and then the moment you graduate, they move it to what's called an OPT.
OPT.
And those are both available, and our students are, typically speaking, our international students are taking advantage of those opportunities.
Yeah, that's one of the opportunities, especially for international students, to gain international exposure and experience. Okay, thank you, Professor. And do you also offer certifications for international students?
Yeah, there's a lot of disciplines where various kind of professional certifications would, allow you to be licensed to practice everything from teaching fields to nursing, which I mentioned before. We have a very large aviation program, so to be able to get, say, a pilot certification. We have accounting professionals get an accounting certification, and obviously engineering is what would they call, well, you take the steps towards becoming a professional engineer. You have to work in the field as well, but the beginning steps of that, we get you those steps too. Same with actuarial. So depending on the discipline in which certifications are needed, we often have we're either the ones issuing the certification or allowing you to apply to the professional organization that can issue that certification.
That's good news. And then if you are aware, most Indonesian students are Muslims. So how hard it is to get halal foods in Mankato and in your campus?
Absolutely. Yeah. We actually have a fairly vibrant Muslim community.
Okay.
And there's two reasons for that on our campus. One is obviously we have a lot of faculty who come from a variety of international backgrounds, and some of those large percentage of our faculty are coming from everywhere from Egypt over to Bangladesh and very Muslim prominent countries. So there's a community around that. But the other thing that people often don't know is Minnesota in the United States is the largest home to the Somali population. They came as refugees in the 90s due to a civil war, and Mankato has a very large Somali population. And the
Somalia, okay.
Yeah, so one of the effects of that is that there are grocery stores. I think there's maybe even 4 halal grocery stores in town.
Wow.
And
That's
a
a lot,
restaurant.
yeah.
One of them is quite large. The others are smaller. But there's even a restaurant right near campus that also has a small section so students can get food there. Yeah, so it's a very nice, supportive international
for the international for Muslim students.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. That's good news for Asian students.
Mhm.
Okay, before we end this podcast, could you give us some closing statements to encourage in Universitas Pertamina's prospective students to join our dual degree program? Please,
Sure.
Professor.
I just want to say how thrilled we are to engage in this partnership. This is very meaningful to us. Our goal as a campus is to be connected to the global community. We look forward to the exchange back and forth of students and ideas, and so we see this as not just benefiting obviously your students, but a real benefit to us to have students on our campus that expose us to different ways of thinking, expose us to the worldview that they have. So we couldn't be more thrilled. I think what I'm hoping for your students is, we have such wonderful programs, especially in science and engineering fields, business fields. I think I mentioned health, but as well as a lot of emerging fields, data science and analytics, and the world is certainly becoming more and more needing of exchanging data and protecting data, cybersecurity. And so we have a lot of really exciting programs. And we also encourage our students to travel to Jakarta. We have a study abroad program that we want our Minnesota or United States students to travel there as well. So I hope we can certainly encourage that kind of exchange. But our main goal, when I see our students, we do a lot of project-based learning on our campus. And one of the reasons we do that is to make sure that students are engaging with each other, learning how to work together across those cultural divides, if you will. And I think that what I see happening is true friendships. It's one thing to study together, but to see those friendships develop that last and keep us connected is actually an educational goal that we have. So I think our students would say that the international students, especially that come, would say they get a very friendly campus and feel that they were very welcomed and felt part of our community, and that's our goal. So that's my main pitch for why won't you come to our campus?
Yeah, I believe I can imagine that's wonderful. I believe that Mankato is a wonderful city, and Minnesota State is a wonderful university. I think that should encourage our prospective students to join us and then to come to your campus. So thank you very much, Professor, for your insightful information. Stay safe, stay healthy. I also thank for the audience who have watched this podcast. I hope to see you in person, Professor, in the near future. Have a good weekend and goodbye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Okay, thank you very much, friend. It's we make it short so that people won't get bored. They can watch and rewatch. And millennials, they don't like very long video.
No.
15, 20 minutes. Yeah. After that, there's just oh, forget it. I have something else to watch. Something like that. Sometimes only 10, 15 minutes.
I could give shorter answers. Sorry.
That's okay. No, that's okay. That's okay. But 20 minutes it's good, actually.
Good.
So we, yes, go ahead.
I just this is wonderful. Thank you so much. And I would love to see your campus someday as well. So
Sure, no problem. We welcome also your students. I think we are moving toward the endemic, so there is more quarantine.
Yeah.
Of course, we have to be disciplined ourselves. That's going back to ourselves, actually, how we manage the health and everything, consuming vitamins. There is no way that we have to have quarantine every time. It's not only time consuming, but also cost.
Yeah.
You have to stay in the hotel for 5 days for nothing, while you only visit only for 5 days, and then you double your cost simply just to stay in one room. That doesn't make sense. But again, it depends on eventually to us. So I believe our government is already moving toward no quarantine policy. I believe.
Well,
Yeah, because it's spotty. It's not everywhere.
Yeah. Has Indonesia in general done pretty well throughout the pandemic, or did you have a lot of spikes?
Oh well, again, it depends on the locations.
Okay, sure.
The Omicron is very infectious, so there are sparks, but it's already declining now. And fortunately, it's not as bad as Delta.
Sure.
Yeah, we are worried the Delta because of the hospitals, limited beds.
Yeah.
So now
we had a spike of Omicron, but as you say, there weren't as many hospitalizations. So we seem to be on the tail end of that. So hopefully.
Yeah,
moving past it.
I have 2 daughters got Omicron, but only 2 weeks ago. It's already done.
Yeah.
Just stay home. In 3-4 days, they are okay. But we have to keep it in their room, the small room, the bedroom is not, it's boring, We have to video call, they set the foods and But now they are out. It's already over. So it's very, well, we call it mild, it's just like a flu. And besides, again, this is rainy seasons. It's easy to get flu in general, even before the COVID. So like that.
Yeah, for us, this is winter, so we tend to stay inside more, and that's when we tend to have the hardest time. So
right. So probably I think mask, wearing the mask is, I think is for me, you should wear the mask. Just to to be on the safe side. Even though we are in endemic already, I think.
I hope so.
I think so. Yeah, we plan to have another open house next week, because we keep inviting. We have admission. The admission is not always a test, so we can submit the report cards. So based on the report card, the grades in the high school, so we do the selection.
Okay.
And then we invite those students, and then we also we also ask them to fill a form, including the income of the parents. So if the income is, mid up, so we invite them to the open house for international degree, like that. So whether they apply for the degree or not, so we automatically invite them. So the plan is another open house next week, March 12th. So hopefully there is a representative from Minnesota. Of course, we will play this video. It saves us time, right? So they can watch the video and then Q&A. Basically like that. No need to again re-explain over and over again. We make the video, we play the video, and then if they have any questions beyond that, then we can then they can ask. Usually like tuition fee, and then how hard to find apartments. Very parents questions. Typical parents. How safe it is, something like that. How hot the winter is, how cold, something like that. It's not
Yeah.
curriculum question, no.
No, I'm a parent myself. That's the
True,
things
true. Yeah. Our questions, typical our questions, usually like that. Yeah.
The winter is cold, but there's a lot of activities to do, and that's I think I told you I came from Florida. I don't like cold either, but I've really grown, Minnesota's nice. I like hockey a lot. I didn't grow up watching it, but that's what we're known for as a college, is our hockey team.
Right. Well, I live in Cleveland for 9 years, so I
Sure.
love baseball. I know Minnesota Twins, right?
Yeah, they're
for the baseball. So that's good. At least you have basketball, you have football, you have baseball, you have ice hockey. So everything is there.
Yeah,
for the sports entertainment.
That's right. Yeah, and we try to encourage students to get to games like that, just so they get exposed to
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So thank you very much for.
Thank you. Enjoy your Saturday. Thank you for.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Enjoy your rest of the afternoon.
Yep.
And then I hope to see you in person, of course, with your students. We will, take you to. Well, of course, I don't know if you like the foods. Usually, we take our guests, to the authentic restaurants just to get the taste of Indonesia.
No, I'm very, very adventurous in food.
Right.
I'll try anything.
Good, very good. Because you come from Florida, so many variety of foods, right?
Yeah, that's
Asian, Mexican, everything like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. So hope to see you soon. Thank you.
Have a good evening. Yeah. Or good day.
Thank you. Yeah.
Bye, Budi. Good to
Bye,
see you.
Annie. Good to see you
Bye-bye.
too.